Okay.
There it
we,
is. It's
we're
live.
officially. Welcome. I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short, brother Max to some. Yeah, I have a friend, the 13th Wolfman. He calls me brother Max, and then it kind of just spawned from there. Everyone else calls me brother Max from now on. So it's just kind of a little thing that everyone makes differentiates everybody. Um, this is your first time being on here with me.
Yep.
Going to be talking about what I watched and what you've watched in
Hmm.
2023. I sent you my list.
Yeah.
It's quite. So I finally did a total. I went through and counted it all. I didn't
Okay.
count the doubles. So this is like
Okay.
single viewings. If it was like it would be a couple more. But I did 176 movies.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I'm left way back in the dust, probably rolling around with the tumbleweeds. I'm gone. I'm
Right.
gone.
But the thing is, this is actually pretty for me. But the thing is, my TV shows kind of make it like the amount of time I watched my TV shows, I probably would have watched more movies. So I actually broke down my TV shows. I've only watched 13 shows this year,
Okay.
but they equal up to 248 episodes.
I don't want to even tell you how many times I've watched Supernatural.
Well, the thing is,
So it's
Super,
probably up there in the hundreds by this
Supernatural
point.
is my highest episode count
Yeah.
because I watched 3 seasons, so that's like almost 70 episodes right there.
Hmm.
So I think I'm too shy of being 70, but yeah, it's like I just mainly it was Doctor Who I watched for my TV
Nice.
shows. I'm not going to go too depth in my TV shows because but Doctor Who was and obviously I think one show that we did overlap is Supernatural and True Blood,
Yeah.
so we can definitely talk about that. Um, so we'll start with True Blood. We'll start
Okay.
with so you watched it multiple times.
I did, and I watched it for the first time this year. And
Oh,
that was because of you. Because for years you've been like, you need to watch this show. And I'm like, I'll eventually watch it. And I did, and I have some opinions on it that probably other people won't like.
no, I'm sure. I'm sure you will because I was reading a book with the season,
Mhm.
like, and then we eventually got to the point where the books were not being as like there was whole characters not even like
They
being in.
just completely deviated, which
Yeah,
happens whenever you adapt a book for any type of like show or film. There's
well,
always.
like there was a whole character that was like I think he was a were tiger, and he was his name was like Quinn, I do believe,
There
and
was
he
a
was
reference to that in there, wasn't there? But it was for Jason, right?
yeah, it, like
Yeah,
I,
the Were Panther, but it was like a reference to that. Yeah,
yeah, like it was a nice little nod, like hey, there's actually other were other than panthers,
other creatures than just this kind. Yeah,
right? So that was Sookie's love interest for a little while.
and they didn't put that in there. Probably too much, too many different suitors. I guess maybe.
Right. Um, do you mind? Do you want me to spoil the books, or do you plan on reading the books?
I mean, I'll probably read them anyway because I'll probably forget. So you can go
Okay,
ahead and spoil it,
so,
unless it's going to spoil it for anybody else who's watching or
oh,
listening.
it's been out for a while.
Okay.
So who do you think she ended up with? She ended up with just some rando guy we never.
Some rando guy at the end. I was like, oh God, come on. We could have done better than that. Who is this faceless man
Right.
person?
So who do you think she ended up with in the series?
Well,
Or-
I mean, I really thought she was going to end up with Alcide, and then in the show, they're
right.
like, "Oh, bye, you're gone." I'm like,
So when we were before we got on live, like when you were talking about like what was like an oh my god moment, that was kind of an oh my god moment for me when I first watched it because I was watching it as the series progressed. So I was like,
mhm.
when they like spoilers, they killed him off, and then
Yeah, he's gone.
with this random guy too, just and killed him, and it was like, what? Like that was just so random and out of nowhere. But
They did
he,
that to a lot of them in the end.
I think she ended up with Sam in the end.
What?
Yeah, so I'm
I
not.
mean, what? Hold
Yeah,
on.
I'm not
What?
sure the progression of it in the books, but
I'm gonna have to read these books because hold up. I like Sam. He was one of my favorite side characters,
same.
and really thought maybe him and Suki would eventually get together. But he had like all different love interest things, and his baby mama eventually. So I'm gonna have to read these. I'm gonna have to read them now because now I need to know how this got to
The
that point.
right, like I'm kind of they're. I think they're completely done, so they're full. They're out.
Okay.
So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I really enjoyed the first 5 or 6 of them, or first 4 for sure.
Mhm.
And I enjoyed. They were really good stories and everything. Like, I don't want to spoil any more for you, but it's like there's like draft, like there's a reason why, like Lafayette was more prominent in the series than in the books and everything, and because
Mhm.
the guy who plays Lafayette was really good. Lafayette was like one of my favorite characters.
Oh, Lafayette's the only reason I started watching that show. I saw clips of him being badass, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this because hell yeah, this is my kind of guy. This is my kind of character. I want to see what the rest of the show is about just from that. Besides the fact that, again, you told me several times to watch it. Now, let me tell you
Okay.
who I don't like. So people can come for me if they want to. I hated Bill Compton the minute he came on the screen. He was a giant red flag, and I hated him. And the entire show, I hated him. I never liked him once.
So I think Bill in the books is just as shady as he is in the series. Yeah.
Sus. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
do
don't like him.
It's been a very long time since I've read the book, so I'm recalling off that, but I do believe he is like not as. I don't think he is bad as he is in the show, but he's not as. He's definitely
He's still not a good guy. Like, he's got ulterior motives, and it was apparent from the second he walked into the restaurant,
right,
and sat at that table and stared at Suki, and I'm just like, oh my god, girl, recognize a red flag, please.
I think, right. With the big revelation later in the series, like he was only there because of her cousin mentioning that,
right?
And so it's kind of like, oh, okay, like now we know, like this was not, it was all premeditated and everything.
Right, exactly. And I couldn't stand Suki at first when she finally realized all of the subterfuge that had been going on and how he was put into her path, and she was just completely duped. She finally was like, well, fuck you. Finally. And I was like, oh, thank God she's not being the naive little girl anymore.
Right. Like the moment that I really like when Bill became, Billith, that's
the big god vampire of all. Yes.
When she finally had the nerve to stake him, and obviously nothing happened to him, but it was like, wow, he actually made that plunge and did what was necessary, thought was going to happen, or could he could have killed him, and but obviously it didn't. But it was just oh wow, she actually kind of did something. Just and yeah, I really didn't like Suki in the beginning either.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her in later episodes, especially when she started interacting with Eric, and I like
Eric
when she got away from the Bill stuff, and it was that's when I really liked. But she obviously kept going back to him, but it was just.
It's a really weird, I get it. He was the first love, even though he was all shady and everything was for the wrong reasons. She still had that connection to him, and I get that because all of us have been there. You're in a bad relationship with somebody who's not good for you, and you keep slowly keep finding yourself going back. It's not good. It's not healthy, but it's understandable. At the same time, it's listen to all of your friends who are telling you repeatedly to stay away from him, please.
and with Sam, you could tell, like, since he has that, shifter smell ability, like,
Right.
since you could just tell, like, and Sam's also, I think he was a pretty good judge of character in most points, and it just like, and everything was just like, should have just listened to Sam and Tara, which I really enjoyed Tara. Like, I thought
she was great.
Thought they did her dirty in the final
season.
They
did so many people dirty in the final season. I was just like, what the, are you serious, Tara? You just took her out just right off the bat. She's just gone. Are you kidding me? Like, she was one of your best freaking characters. One of your strongest characters.
See, like Sookie didn't have like that person to play off of, like Tara was for the first few seasons, was like someone who she could go back to and talk to, even so. So what was your favorite moment of True Blood?
My favorite moment of True Blood,
or favorite season, or whatever, because I have my favorite season.
I think I really like the season of the witches.
Yep,
I wish they would have kept that in there more. I think it would have added another interesting layer into the rest of the story, because it's suddenly, after that season, they were like, oh, we can't do witchcraft anymore. I'm like, bitches, yes, you can. Why aren't we doing witchcraft all the time to fight these fuckers? Like, what's going on?
Well, no, really, I agree, because after that was 4, right? Season 4, and like
4 or 5, I don't remember. Nancy told me about it, and she said the same thing, like 4 or 5. That's her favorite season too.
Yeah, because it was like the vampires actually had a threat to them, and that's why. And like then 5, 6, and 7 was all about the authority and stuff like that, but. But I'm like, I liked when they were like interacting with the other supernatural creatures, or beings or entities or whatever you want to call them, within this world, and I think that's what I liked about the books, is because they do that as well. That's
actually in there more.
Yeah, they have like this. I think there's a book where they have like this, like a Fight Club esque kind of thing for supernatural shifters kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And some of the characters are like way more interesting in the book. Like Tara, she's only in the book a couple pages, but
she's like a minor, just really quick sort of character in the book.
Yeah, but yeah, The Witches is my favorite season of the whole show, just because I liked it. Showed everyone was able to like act like they were finding their groove, and I like that final few episodes where they had the standoff at the little
at the shop,
and like there was actual like stakes at play, like when I was watching that like firsthand, I'm like there was actual doubt, like, oh, some of these people may not make it out of this season alive.
I thought Jason was gone for sure. I was like, he's dead. He's in pieces, definitely.
That's another big difference from the book as well. Jason's character, he actually is. So during the Werepanther stuff, them trying to turn him, it's successful. Like, so it actually, like, if you are actually bitten by a Werepanther, you actually become a Werepanther.
So did he become a Werepanther in the book?
Yes.
Okay, why didn't they put that into the show?
All right, so it makes it so it's like the books are. I would definitely recommend reading the books.
I'm gonna have to read the books. You got to tell me now what, like. Okay, so you said your favorite season was The Witches. What is one moment from True Blood that made you go, "What the hell just happened"? If you could think of one.
I think probably when Bill started to kind of be like obsessed with the original blood of the Lilith,
Right, yeah.
He's definitely just out of character, and just starts seeing that the Lilith and visions and everything, finally drinking that full vial and just like melting, and then that's always
That was so wild.
that was my favorite like cut off moment. You know, where I roll. It's like when Suki's like, or Eric's like, run, and it cuts, and it's just like, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, that's probably my like, oh my god moment, and just because
I feel like I had that moment at that time too. I was like, what the hell just happened? And then he rises out from the blood, and you're like, oh shit,
and
this is not good. This is bad.
And like I do like some of the other I think the side characters definitely made the show over like because like I put Suki in the same cat. Have you ever watched a show called Shameless?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so like there's another main character on there. Her name's Fiona. Like she's like a fantastic actress. Who like her name's Emmy Rossum. She's really great, and like for the first few seasons, she's really awesome. And like she's holding the family together, and she's just trying to make her do her own thing while raising this family and keeping them under control. But at the same time, she starts to make poorer and poorer decisions in the later seasons, and she starts to become very unlikable. And even though she's obviously trying to do the best, but there's just a point where the writers were just like, let's just take everything away from her constantly, and it just got to the point where it was just like we know where this is going to go,
right?
And that's kind of like with Suki for a little bit was just like it was just like, yeah, like she's just going to go back to Bill over and over again until
right.
And so that's why I gravitated towards more of the side characters in True Blood as well as Shameless, where the brother and some of the other character, even like the minor characters that you see like maybe once an episode, are like some of the better moments in the whole series.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I told you I kept watching True Blood for the side characters mostly because I couldn't stand the two main people for so long.
So what's it called? So you like True? So you obviously liked it enough to start it again.
I mean, I liked it enough to watch it more than once. I've watched it through, I think, at least 2.5 times now. I haven't completed a third time through. It's I am a big fan of vampire genre stuff.
Right.
Like Vampire Diaries was my thing for a very long time.
So like getting told.
So that was. It was kind of like, I want to watch some vampire stuff. I don't have access to Vampire Diaries right now. So let's, we'll try this. We'll see how it goes. And I was just like, this is not Vampire Diaries. It's very different. I'm like, well, let's see what shakes out of this. And yeah, it wasn't too bad. It like you said, it's good enough that I'm watching it more than once. But again, I'm here for the side characters. I'm glad that Suki eventually gets her shit together and is,
what I like. That's why I'm actually happy with the season finale or series because like she finally was able to get what she wanted, and like that long of everybody at that table, and it was just like that's fine. It was like Bill was definitely the source of everyone's problems.
Yes, legitimately from the beginning. Again, big red flag.
Right.
Big red flag.
Like a lot of the stuff wouldn't have happened like if Bill had never would have showed up at the bar. Like they never would have dealt with the rat trays or what's his name? The redhead's boyfriend never would have gotten like all upset about. Oh well, he still would have murdered people, but Suki probably would have never been on his radar.
Oh, you mean I know who you're talking about. It's I know his name. I know who you're talking about. He was pretending to be somebody he wasn't. He actually had killed his family, and
like Renee. Something.
Renee, yes, Renee. Yeah. I was not expecting that. When that was happening, I thought it was either Jason or well, I wish my brain would work, or Hoyt. I thought it was Hoyt mostly. I was like, it's him. It's got to be him. And then it was like, nope, it's this guy. And I'm like, well, shit. I was like, it's one of these three.
Hoyt would have been a good one because
it's so unsuspecting.
Right.
And he's the good boy who does everything he's told to do. And I was like, this has everything written all over it.
Right. I think that was a nice. I think I didn't read the book until after, like, it's about season 3. That's when I caught up, and then the first book plays pretty close to the first season, so and the second one does too. And obviously the season with the witch is has a lot of the same elements, like Eric losing his memory and stuff like that. So it's all good. So the next show that we had that overlapped is obviously Supernatural.
Yes, that's my show. That is, I watch it on repeat every day. Like, honestly, I was just watching it before we started this. I just got done with the episode with the Pearl in season 14 where his dad comes back.
Okay.
Remember? Yeah, like that episode just finished right before I was like, great, let me watch something sad right before I go on this with that. But yeah, I for a long time I wouldn't finish it because I didn't want it to end. So I didn't watch the last season, I think, until like 2 years after it came out.
Oh, really?
I didn't want it to end. I was like, I can't accept this right now. So I didn't watch it.
No, I get it. It took me a minute to finish that last season too, because for the exact same reason, because I wasn't ready for it to end either. And I didn't get to watch it on TV like I normally did. I had to watch it through the app. So I let it build up, which sucked because the app, it will start deleting the episodes.
Yeah.
So I had to well, I can only let it build up a few episodes before they start taking them off.
Start taking them off, and you gotta
kind of forced my hand a little bit to keep up, but yeah, Supernatural. Obviously, that's one of the shows that we constantly kind of send videos to one another about. It's probably the one show that we meme each other to death about.
Yeah, it's the most memeable. It honestly is. I mean, I can't even tell you how much I love that show. That show is something that I started watching at a time in my life when at that time, it was the most depressed I had ever been. I've been far more depressed since then, but it helped me out of my depression. But watching that first season, it was scary and horror movie-y. And I was like, why am I watching this? I don't watch horror movies because I have nightmares, but I couldn't stop watching it. And then I just kept watching it and kept watching it. And when season 4 started and Misha Collins came in as Castiel, I was like, all right, I'm watching this. Let's see how far this goes. Misha Collins is amazing. He's one of my favorite actors, people, and Castiel is one of my favorite characters on the show. So,
that's kind of basically he was watching Supernatural at home, and my dad's is a fan of the band Styx. So, you'll know this episode. Obviously, when they're stuck in the bank with the shapeshifter.
Yes.
Okay, and then they have to escape through the means of basically knocking out the 2 guards and everything.
Right.
SWAT team members just to get out alive, or unhurt or captured or arrested, and that song that popped up, and it was Styx, and Dad started watching it, and he's like, okay, and he's like, I like this, and then I started watching it, and he started watching more and more of it with me, and sure enough, it became our weekly show. And he's awesome. He ended up having to go back and buy the first, like, I think that was a pretty late in the season show, or like I
I
think
think
four.
so. That was, let's see, with the shapeshifters. Because what was that? Was his name Ron, the guy who got shot and killed? I'm trying to think. Because they're trying to lay low. Yeah, I think that's later in the earlier seasons.
Because the only reason I knew that is because Dad had to go back and buy the first like first three or so, first two to catch up, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just start over, and we'll just.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with starting over,
right?
And going back and then just. Whoop.
So
they have some of the best music on that show. It's the best freaking music.
I
best
think
rock music.
That's that's what I liked about the show is like they actually had like licensed music. Like they had obviously they had Kansas, Carry On My Way, and then
classic.
Then Eye of the Tiger. I love that episode.
Best episode. Best. I love Jensen doing his lip sync at the end.
And then it's just like the music just in these episodes the shows are just fantastic, and like
it's a very good example of how music makes a difference in the story that you're telling.
So like Ariel, she even has a moment, when we see Death for the first time.
Yes.
That when they were singing, like, I think it's "Oh Death," right?
Yes, it's "Oh Death." Yeah.
And that female's vocals, it was just that's like one of the few scenes of the whole series like I can just like single out and be like, that's awesome. Like,
it was one of the best ways to like introduce him.
Yes.
And I had goosebumps the first time I watched the scene. You've got this woman vocalizing this beautiful yet very eerie song, and then just this old gentleman, long black coat, cane in his hand, walking around. Some guy bumps into him, and he's just like,
"Yeah,
you're dead. You're dead. You're gone." Oh man, love it.
Maybe less than 2 minutes long or something like it's probably one of the more powerful introductions of the whole series, and because that season they were building up the Four Horsemen, and we haven't met Death at that point, and like we've met all the other ones, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's like we know he's the big baddie of like
he is like the big papa of all of them. Like he's the big kahuna. He has a great character.
Oh, right, and I like he's a foodie as well. He likes food, and he's like, yeah, I may be the reaper of all reapers, and I'll eventually reap God himself. But it's just like,
but I'd like to have some fried pickles, please.
Right, exactly.
And some nachos and some pizza. He's a foodie like Dean is, and I know Dean's like, let's bond over our love of food.
Right. It's like that's my end. That's my end with Death.
Yes. Which we see later on whenever he asks Death to kill him, and then he turns around and kills Death instead.
Right.
That was unexpected. That was one of the most unexpected things.
Right.
Like I was genuinely surprised when it happened. I was watching Sam going, I will not forgive you, Dean Winchester, if you do this to your brother. But
I thought, did he really do it? And then sure enough, like we meet Billy later on, I think. And then it was just like,
yes. And Billy does a really good job of stepping into that role.
Right. I hated losing that actor because he was so good, but like I understand, like it had to be done. It was either going to be Sam or
right. You set it up like there was no way around the situation. It was going to be one or the other.
Right. So who was I talking to you about how the show really shifted towards Dean as the show progressed?
Yeah, we talked about that because we talked about how at the beginning it was all really kind of focused on Sam.
Right.
And the big focus was on him. Dean pulled him from Stanford to come help find his dad. And then it's about both of them finding their dad, but it's still all really mainly focused on Sam.
Right.
up until the point that Dean ends up going to hell. And then when he comes back, it's all, well, who pulled Dean out of hell? Like,
Mhm.
who has enough power to pull a person from the pit, and why?
And that's when the show really kicked off for me more than like as much as I like the first
Yeah.
seasons. I really liked the first 4 seasons a lot. But when they started introducing the angels and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
that's the stuff that I like. I'm not a really person at all, but I love watching movies that have that
Oh, same.
have the that just they take that what has been like the angelic lore or the
Yeah.
demons and they put a twist on it like that. I think I mentioned to you a movie called The Prophecy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. It's the dark. I don't really need like the Exorcist kind of dark stuff, but I want like where they just are like have you seen the movie called there's this movie called The Devil's Advocate?
I haven't seen that one, no.
It has Keanu Reeves in it, and
Mm-hmm.
he's slowly kind of seeing that Al Pacino's character. He's a lawyer working for this big firm, and he's never lost a case, but he keeps putting him up with this case that is seemingly unwinnable, and it can really like test his morals and like what he's
Mm-hmm.
willing that undefeated streak essentially and everything. And then like as the movie's progressing, he's starting to act very different and everything. And there's a good versus evil, like devil
Mm-hmm.
on your shoulder kind of aspect to it, which is
Okay.
because Al Pacino is the devil in the movie and the actual devil.
Nice.
It's like, but I like those kind of movies.
It
So
definitely Supernatural has those undertones with the
right,
demons and the demon deals, and sometimes you have to make a demon deal to
right,
do a good thing. You have to do the bad thing to do the good thing.
right, and that's how that movie ends. Is like he like I won't spoil that one, but it's just like for anyone who's watching, but it's just like that, like it. But the devil kind of gets his way in the end, regardless. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's nice. It's like a good ending for that movie. So yeah, we'll probably have to come back to Supernatural at a later date because
I
we
could
have.
talk, but you could do a whole. I could do a whole afternoon on
Oh yeah,
it.
like one of these days. So obviously I have this big old long list of movies, and like
Yes. So tell me what your top three are. I need to know.
so my top three are like the ones that really stood out to me was my favorite movie of the year was definitely Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3
I haven't seen that yet. I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
because it it was it's not a Marvel movie. Okay.
Okay, so it deviates from that
Yeah,
tropishness of the
obviously,
Marvel movies.
obviously it's within the Marvel universe.
Right.
It it's not a Marvel movie. It is definitely James Gunn's movie.
Okay.
It just happens to be in the Marvel universe because
Okay.
it is dark and sad movie through and through. And I'm telling you right now, I have like there's a reason why I don't want I'm not like when I got out of the theater, I'm like Ariel's asking me like how is it? I'm like I can't watch this with you.
Oh
Like because I know you're gonna cry and then I'm gonna cry and then
no. Oh
because
no.
it is
That's going
so
to go further down on my list of things to watch then. I'm going to push it back a little
oh,
bit because I don't want to be
oh trust
sad.
me kind of but it's so worth the watch because it has a great payoff for this trilogy
Mhm.
and all these characters they all have probably my favorite trilogy of all the Marvel movies, you know, like as much as I like the Thor movies,
Oh,
but
Thor Ragnarok's my favorite.
so oh
Hands down.
I like I like Ragnarok a lot because I like it's another movie that isn't a Marvel movie.
Right. It's Taika Waititi did great with that. And I know some people are like, ah, he ruined it. He gave Thor a personality. I'm like, Thor needed a personality because he was very cavemanish
had a
before.
circled. Okay, so yeah, Guardians was definitely one of them.
Mhm.
Just as it was probably I was trying to think of like what ones actually kind of like gave me like emotion, like kind of like really sparked emotions out of me, and that's definitely Volume 3. And then another one is John Wick 4.
Okay.
As like I know these are two action movies, but they are two drastically different kind of action movies.
I don't know a lot about the John Wick except how it all started.
Yeah. So
and I get it, like that's crazy that it spawned all of this, but yeah, I haven't seen the movies. I have not seen them.
They are so good at having a natural progression of this character on the run, and that's what I really liked about like it's just some guy just doing his own thing, and then some kid decided to kill his dog and steal his car, and they don't know who they're messing with, and then he does what he does best, and then he's kind of suffering the consequences of something that didn't even pertain to him, or really. Right. And so like what makes 4 I think out of the best out of all of them is because the action in this movie is top notch. Because there's just like I think probably why I picked Guardians as well as one of these top 2 is because there's a sequence in both of these movies where it's a one take shot where it's
those are
so I'm trying to think. So there's a scene towards the end of the movie where John Wick has to get to the certain spot at a certain time, or he kind of forfeits and like his life is on the line, basically. And this is his one chance to like end it all. Like whatever he's done to wrong everybody, this is his one chance to kind of like put it all to rest. And he has to get there at a certain time. And he gets there, and it's a giant set of like stairs. It's like and it's like long. It's like 12 flights of stairs straight up.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's one shot of him climbing all the way up and getting there and getting knocked all the way back down just to fight all the way back up. And,
wow.
And it's so good, and it's some of the best action I've seen in a movie in a very, very long time. And just for that, I'm like, yep, this is my favorite movie of the year, or one of my favorite movies, just because it's so good. So I was actually kind of going through another one. So I have one that's kind of a asterisk just because of like I wasn't prepared for it. I'll get to that instead.
Okay.
But there was what was another one? Oh, the movie that really surprised me more than anything of how good it was the Dungeons and Dragon movie.
I heard such good things about that. I did not see it yet though, but I heard really good things about how they did that movie.
I fully enjoyed that movie from start to finish. I was like, that was kind of like, I think I watched that at a time where I was kind of not having a good day or a good time. And I just like, and I Chris Pine, he's probably like one of my favorite of the Chris's, like, and just because he's Kirk,
I mean, yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, well, he's Kirk, so how could you not,
And okay, he's just so good. It's like a good fantasy movie. It's not just it's not just, and it's so accessible for everybody. Obviously, there's some deep cuts in there for the people who have been playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I like just the way, like, but I know how how filmmaking works, and just like, okay, that little scene is definitely meant for somebody because of like they spent just a little bit too extra time on that thing, or they say it a certain way or whatever. So it's like, okay, so I'm like, oh, there's some deep cuts in this movie, and I looked them up. I'm like, yep, I'm right. But I just really I recommend checking out the Dungeons and Dragon movie just because it's fun, and it's like, it's just a nice, I like watching crew, like a team come together and
Mm-hmm.
do something.
I know the previews of it looked really good and funny.
Oh
And
yeah,
I was like, oh, that looks like it's going to be really good.
it really is. I enjoyed it. When I first watched it, it was just like, oh, I started watching it, and then my the app that I was watching it on was it was kind of terrible. So it's like the Paramount Plus app is wants to work. When it works really well. When
Yeah, it's kind of a.
So yeah, Guardians, John Wick 4, and Dungeons and Dragons have been like my top 3 of the movies, just because they offer just a bunch of different emotions and like whatever. But the movie that kind of shocked me on what it is that I have a friend, like I mentioned, the 13th Wolfman. Me and him, we like to watch these they're obscure to the casual moviegoer, I should put.
Right, not something that you necessarily see a preview for when you're in the theater that you would know about.
Right, this is like from the 70s, so it's an older movie. It's called Thriller: A Cruel Picture. It's has some like subject matter that's very rough, I should say. So it's a revenge movie.
Okay.
So it's about this girl who gets abused, and so she kind of I think it's this one. Maybe I'm thinking of no, that's it. And so she spends the whole movie. She gets, is it this one? I may be confusing it with something.
Maybe swapping them around.
Yeah, I think it is this one, because she gets abused, and then she ends up being like overdosed. Not overdosed, addicted. And the way to keep that fix going is by like earning money in this brothel or whatever, and then he gives them the money, and like if you run away, you're going to like lose your fix and you'll eventually just die. So you're forced to stay. So she's using some of her money that she is earning to kind of learn how to drive a car, use weapons, fight, and stuff like that. And so she's doing all these things at the same time, working in this, like being forced to work in this, like this brothel or whatever. And it's really good. And so there's 2 different versions of this movie, and obviously she makes her way out, and she gets a revenge on everybody, and in very glorious 70s fashion, and a lot of slow-mo and a lot of stuff like that. But it's really good. But
is it Kill Bill-esque when she gets her revenge? Okay.
Yes, because she has an eye patch.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So that's where Ellie Driver from the second movie, or from the 2 movies, like that's where that comes from. So yeah, that makes so.
I got you now. Kill Bill. I mean, classic.
Right.
Classic. I never thought I would like the Kill Bill movies, but I do. I like them, and I love a badass woman lead who's like, I'm gonna fuck your shit up.
Have you? Speaking of that,
you're like speaking.
That's one. I watched a few more movies that I didn't include on your list. Have you seen? There's a movie called Aliens. Have you seen that?
Like the Aliens movies. Yeah. Like I watched maybe 1 and 2.
Okay.
Like decades ago. Like I have not rewatched them in a very long time. No disrespect to Sigourney Weaver, but I haven't watched them in a really long time. But I have watched Prometheus.
Okay.
Quite a few times. I like that, but I haven't gone back and watched.
Well, I was just like Aliens. If you need like strong women, and that's what it is. Like this Alien, the second Alien for sure. Aliens. Because I just bought it in 4K. Like, and it just looks so good. I'm like, I just forgot. I haven't watched that movie in quite some time, and I'm like, I just good it was. But yeah. Oh, the reason why I was taken by this movie is because it has very graphic depictions of sex in this movie.
And in the 70s, that's probably even more so than what we do now.
Yeah, it's like full. It like there's nothing left to.
Wow.
And
no intimacy coaches on those sets in the 70s.
Exactly. Oh, and so I think it's a. And so okay, before I'll tell you a story about this movie in a second, but yeah, it's so yeah, definitely no intimacy coaches for sure.
No, nobody's there to make sure everybody's comfortable and we're not doing things we're not supposed to do.
Right. But like from what I've read, it was filmed with two different actresses involved, and so it's like the main actress is nude on screen, but then who's performing the other scenes, it's a double and everything. So
did they shoot it like they would like a porno?
Basically, yes.
I mean, that makes sense for the 70s. That's really interesting.
But I did with the edition that I bought includes the R-rated version of it, and I'm like, those aren't needed. Like
I feel like it might have already been R-rated just based on your description. So that's the X-rated version instead, what they call R-rated.
So it was definitely So it was just like it. I think it's called the U.S. cut because they cut it out and all that stuff. Like, and so obviously we don't get all the good stuff here. In terms of that.
Over here it's that people are they're scared of sexuality, and there's a lot of prudiness over here because we sexualize people's bodies, unfortunately.
But yeah.
So wait, hold up. Were the scenes where she got her revenge, were those like super gory? Were they really? Why not? I'm sorry, but if you're gonna have the graphic explicit of the other, I expect the revenge scenes to be just as devastatingly graphic.
There's another revenge movie that I watched called She Killed in Ecstasy. So that one is a little bit more on the gory side of revenge because her husband was a doctor, and he was doing some like really not powerful, like he was making movements in the medical community, and then the board deemed him a monster, took his license away, and so he basically killed himself for it. And so she took it upon herself to go after the board who killed her husband, and so she uses her feminine wiles to kind of like lure all the board members into these situations and everything, and then her way of killing them was like, a little snip and just like, and it's full and it shows, and it's just like, okay, it's like, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, like that level with the other movie would have been on point completely.
So okay, just to tell you a story about Thriller that I did not know until after the movie was done. So there's a scene where she loses her eye. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, that looks awful real. Like there's
no.
I
feel like I know where this is going.
And I'm like, and I didn't realize it. And so look, I don't think I'll be watching that movie anytime soon for a while.
Wait, did she really lose her eye?
No, it was a cadaver.
It was okay.
And so, and it was just like
still gross. I've been. It was like
it's just
like that.
Same.
Science class.
Like this just seems way too accurate, and so
talk about going the extra mile to make sure you've got the most realistic stuff you possibly can.
Exactly.
Wow.
So those are the movies that I really popped out in my head, but there's some other ones that. Did you see any of them that you like looked at that like popped out at you?
Let me look at your list.
No problem.
I gotta pull it up.
Oh, okay. I got another one to while you're looking at the list.
Now my eye is twitching because of what you just told me about that eyeball.
Right.
Just
Oh,
so
trust
you know. Just so you know.
So there's this movie called most of these movies that I'm like shocked at are horror movies, but there's this movie called Barbarian, and it's it's so creepy, and I wasn't expecting to be how good it was, and I think that's probably one of the like how shocked I was, like, oh, this is gonna be all right, but I heard like good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
Had some long in it. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it, and I'm like, I was just in, like, I was like, from start to finish, I was into it. That was another good one. I'll just kind of, while you're looking, I'll just run them off real quick.
I just finally got them.
Some of the movies that I've watched were the Kingsman 1 and 2, The Kingsman, Kick-Ass 1 and 2, The New Turtle, TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, The Menu. That was really good. That was I liked that movie. It has Ray Fiennes in it, where he invites a bunch of people to this really exclusive restaurant, and he kind of starts to kind of like reveal secrets about everybody and everything. It's really, really good. Trying to think. Clerks 3. That's one of the few movies I watched twice. So there's this really cool independent movie called Pool Hall Junkies that I don't own it, but I had to find a free copy of it on YouTube. But when they can do stuff on screen, like when it comes to like trick shots and stuff like that, because I love it, because it's all trick shots and actual people playing pool.
Oh yeah.
Camera, so it doesn't like cut away from like so the actor, like, it's a double's hands or anything. Like the actors in this movie are pool players,
like they know how to do it. Oh yeah.
And it's like some of the shots are in this movie are fantastic, and it's so funny, and you'll recognize a few people in the movie. It has Christopher Walken in it. Has the guy Michael Rosenbaum, who plays Lex Luthor. It's an early film of his. Obviously, Fanboys made my list this year. I had to watch it at least once.
I haven't watched it in a hot minute.
I watched Air, about the Michael Jordan's shoes. That was really good. I watched Jordan Peele's Nope. That, if you want to be creeped out, that's a movie you shouldn't be watching.
I probably don't want to watch it then.
It really like, it starts off with a big bad way and it ends in a big bad way.
I've heard that it's like, yeah, no, that's a big nope from me.
Even though I like it, I really liked it, but I still think Get Out is his better movie, his first movie. Renfield, I really like that movie with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, I wanted to watch that. Was that really funny?
It
looked hilarious.
Like, it was good to see Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage, and being I think I swear there was a Vampire's Kiss reference in there, where, and it's like I think he meant, I don't know, I could be misremembering, but I think he's like let me spell out the alphabet for you or something like that, and just like I watched Showgirls in 4K just for science reasons. Trying to think. Knock at the Cabin, that was really good. That was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Mr. Shyamalan. I have not watched anything of his since I know what it's called. The one where they're all living in that national forest and they don't realize The Village. Yeah. His movies creep me out like a lot. I'm a little bit of a Oscar Mayer wiener when it comes to scary stuff, and especially stuff that messes with your head.
I think you'd be all right with this one, just because it's intense, but it's not scary.
Mm-hmm.
But have like moments of like it really starts. It like makes you question like, is what they're doing actually happening, or is this all really truly premeditated and everything? And it's just like it's really good that way.
That I do like those, and I say that, but I watch Supernatural constantly. My sister laughs at me, and she's like, "You realize you watch Supernatural all the time, but you can't watch a horror movie?" And I'm like, "It depends on how much blood and guts is happening."
No. If you think about it in that way, that it is sort of like a supernatural episode, like if you kind of go in with that kind of aspect of it all,
it makes it a bit easier to watch it. I did that with a new movie I watched this year that I hadn't watched before, My Bloody Valentine.
Oh,
I had not watched that before.
Oh yeah, you mentioned
it had Jensen Ackles in it, and I'm like, okay, literally anything with Jensen or Misha, I'm like, I want to watch this and see how it is. And I was like very taken aback by all the blood, and I had to like look away several times. I'm like, are they dead yet? Are they dead? Oh God, they're not dead yet. And I would have to look away. But I did like that movie. I liked it a lot.
That one's actually considered one of the better horror remakes, just because it's really good. And
they did a very good job. And I've never seen the original, so I didn't know what to expect really. And so I was like, oh my God.
Even though I like the original, I think the remake is done a little bit better. It's like a little bit more. The original to me is a little slow, where this one's a little bit more faster paced and everything. And despite all the 3D gimmicks and everything, but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah, I can't watch things in 3D because it messes my eyes up too much to watch it. But even watching it where it's not in 3D, like watching it on my big screen, like still like whenever the stuff is coming at you, and I'm like, oh my God, if I had been wearing that, I would have been like, oh, if I was wearing my glasses. The 3D glasses.
We'll keep with the Jensen Ackles thing. Like there's these movies called Buddy Games.
Oh, I want to watch that. I know that he's really funny in it. Yeah, I've seen some clips. I want to watch it.
I'm trying to think what other. I watched Oppenheimer. That was a nice movie to watch for 3 hours.
It's so long. What did I watch the other day? That was the Batman movie. Was 3 hours long, and I was like, oh my! But I was on the edge of my seat. I had a friend call me when I had 30 minutes left. I paused it, frantically ran into my room. I was like, "Is there an emergency? Is everything okay?" Yeah, fine. What are you? I'm watching the Batman. He starts laughing because he's a big Batman fan too. He goes, "Okay, you want to just call me later?" I said, yeah. And he's laughing at me, hanging on the phone, and I'm like, "You don't understand. All of this stuff is hitting the fan, and I need to see what."
Gotham is drowning. I have to.
the water is coming in. They're trapped. I don't know what's going on. That is a perfect marrying of the original Batman movies with the aesthetic value, I think, and also this dark storytelling of like the newer, now-ish, the ones that came after our, give me the name, Maxwell.
Which one? Like Christian Bale?
Christian Bale's Batmans, yeah. Okay. The darkness of the Christian Bale Batman era. And then the aesthetic of the, like, I mean, I loved the original Batmans, and I watched them a lot growing up, like a lot.
The original Batman and Batman Returns was on constant replay when I was a kid because I was a Batman fan from the get-go.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I loved Batman Returns.
Did you have? Well, and we're about to close up shop here.
Yeah.
Did you have anything that just didn't quite match up to what you wanted it to be? Like, did something just like disappoint you?
I wouldn't say disappoint necessarily, but I told you earlier I watched that Stonehenge Apocalypse movie
All
with
right.
Misha Collins as
Oh,
Jacob.
I didn't realize that's why you watched it. I thought you were just watching to be watching. Okay.
No, I watched it because of Misha. That's the only reason I watched it. And I think he's told everybody at one point, like, if you're going to watch this, please be drunk as much as possible. I was completely sober. And it's just, I think it's purposeful. I think it's supposed to be a good, bad movie.
Okay.
I think that's what its goal was, because between the flat plot and the actors did the best they could with this dialogue. It was like the worst dialogue you could imagine from, like, say, like a 90s RPG video game.
Funny.
It was that kind of dialogue coming out of these characters. There was just no chemistry anywhere between anybody, and the science that they were trying to use to explain what was happening. I was like, I'm not a scientist, but I don't think any of that's real. Like,
I think I watched the movie. I'm like, yeah, like the science of it all. For the Sharknado movies, like I love.
Yeah, it was on level with that. I would say probably, yeah, that, or what is it? It's not Deep Blue, is it? What's the one where the shark becomes really smart and then starts? Is it Deep Blue, where he becomes really smart and all the sharks start to, like, lure the people in and, like, so they can free themselves? It was like that. Exactly. I was like, this is not
so
believable.
So when I was like writing out my movie list, because I had to write it down since I film on my phone, I'm just like looking at it. I'm like most of the movies I really enjoyed through and through, even like some of the lesser ones. Like there's this movie called Puppet Master where like basically just a clip show of the first few movies and everything with people. I'm like, even that, I'm like, okay, it's like if you were watching Puppet Master the first time and didn't want to sit through the first 4 movies, I'll give it that. Excuse me. But there is one movie that really, like, kind of really disappointed me more than any of them, was Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Oh, I've heard that from a few people.
Yeah, I think that's my worst movie of the year that I've watched. And that's a newer one too, so it's like I just didn't like it. I didn't like anybody in that movie. Like, it just seemed like the reason why is like they filmed it like it's supposed to be the first movie in the line of all the Transformers movies, because like
right, because it's supposed to be about like the Beast Wars that came before, right? It's supposed to be based off of that.
Place in the 90s as well. So it's kind of about but they're just things that's happening, like how is this kept a secret, and or like there's this, like, the big baddie of the movie is like his name's Unicron, and it's like, why hasn't he came back? Like if I was him, I would be like my main mission would be coming back to destroy Earth. If this was like how he was stopped in this movie, and so. And like it's never meant. It's like it's definitely done as an afterthought and everything. It just didn't fit everything. Like, and the bad guy wasn't like thrilling, or like I like the stuff with the like the beast Transformers and stuff, but overall it was just kind of weak. It really was. Like, the first 5 were the best, and like I liked all those Transformers movies, but kind of ran its course and then Bumblebee and this one is just like you don't need them, and
right. It's like they're just trying to scrape as much as they can out of it at that point.
The license alive more than anything. So
yeah,
those are obviously there's like tons more that I've watched, and but it's mainly just movies that people have seen people have seen Neighbors plenty of times, or Jason Takes Manhattan or Grown Ups or
you had like all the American Pie movies on there,
the Saw movies, and just Nick Cage movies because I was going through there. So it's like movies that people have seen time and time again. But the movies that I mentioned are the like worth noting. Trying to think if there's any. Oh, excuse me. Thank you. And there is some. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple other I'm missing. Like there's this movie called there's this movie called Red Rocket. It's about this male porn star who basically is forced to go back to his hometown, and he's just trying to like live off the land or kind of like make him get back to where he came from because he's out in a way and everything. It's really good. It's done really well, and it's like it is like it definitely like a movie to watch by yourself. But it's just like it's done really well. Like and it's just edited well and shot well and acted really well. And like the main guy, he's. Did you ever see any of the scary movies? Mainly 3.
I think I really probably not. If I saw anything, probably bits and pieces.
Okay, no, I was just trying to get a reference, but it's like Cocaine Bear. That was a fun movie to watch this year. But yeah, just movies that were just the Super Mario Brothers movie that was good. It just there was a lot of movies that were just filler, just because I was taking care of Arlo and watching movies.
Right, something to do in the middle.
Because most of these movies came at the beginning of the year. It was super little, and he slept, and we were up with him of a night and everything because he would wake up and need fed. So I was just like, I'd stay up and watch a movie and put him back to bed and everything. And so that's where most of those movies came from. But yeah, it's like, but yeah, Saw X, Saw 10, that was a very surprising movie as well. So yeah, there was a lot of surprises and everything. So, but yeah. I think that's it for the day. I have to get ready for New Year's.
Yeah, you gotta go do your New Year's woohoo and your smoochy smooch. I will just probably go to sleep. I am not for this earth much longer.
Yeah,
with being awake.
Told her it's like we'll probably call it a night after we get a few rounds of mimosas and a board game in. So that's probably what we'll do. Probably I'm about to go get ready and arm the TV for the ball drop and everything.
That'll be a good way to end the year.
Yeah, that's why I told
the new year.
That's why I told Ariel, it's like today was a good day. I went to eat out with Cam, saw Lockard, and you. So I was seeing a lot of friends, and then now I'm going to end the day with her, bringing in the new year with
perfect.
Put Arlo to bed. I don't normally get to do that because I'm at work, and so it was like a nice well-rounded day. The only thing I didn't get to do today was clean out the washing machine drain pipe, but I can do that.
You can do that next year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That was a horrible joke. But it was right there.
I meant to make that joke at work before I left, but I didn't really want to stay around at work any longer than I wanted to. So I'm just like, I'm out of here. I was going to tell a few people that, but I'm like, nah, I'm out of here. I'm tired.
I'm gone. It's over.
So, yeah, I'll probably post a list somewhere if anyone really wants to look at it. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Obviously,
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
We'll definitely break down Supernatural season by season if you want to, just because I like.
don't tempt me with a good time. That's
So,
yeah.
thank you. I am. Do you want to like plug your poems or anything like that?
Not. I didn't even think about that. I mean, I write poetry. If anybody who's watching likes that kind of stuff, I write all kinds of different things. It's at JM_poet_tree, and I'm on Instagram. That's my shindiggy.
Yeah.
Max is his film, mine is poetry. I write
Right.
and he does the film.
Yeah, I was just like, a lot of people have a lot of different things, and like so I'm like, oh, just to get you some.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't ever even think about it. Honestly, I
Do
write
it.
for me, and if other people find something in it that they're like, oh, I connect with that, I'm like, that's awesome, because that's the reason why I share it.
Exactly.
Hopefully to make a connection with somebody. So
Same. Like my videos, they do really well the days after it's done. That's when I find it. It's like it never does well like the first like day or so, but it's like it's the days after. Yeah. So it's like that's why I've learned not to like be all upset about the first the first day or so. Like, oh,
right now.
The next day, like, oh, we're up to like X amount of views. I'm like, oh, okay, it's like that. So yeah, I just do it to be doing it as well. I have fun and everything. So, make sure to follow her on her Instagram. Me everywhere. It's the one and only MSJ. That's easy. And that's it. I'm gonna go spend New Year's, and I'm sure you're going.
I'm gonna go to bed. Happy New Year to you, Mr. Max, and to everybody else. And let's hope this new year is.
That's
awesome.
Or let's put 2023 behind us. And
yeah,
I've never been one to be like that, but this year, like, I don't want it to put completely behind me because this was Arlo's first year. But at the same time, there was some serious hardships towards the end of the year, and then there's some things I've told you off in message.
Yeah.
So it's like things like that. So I'm ready to put this year behind me in some regard, but for them, I'm ready for next year to start. I don't want to be that cliche, but I'm ready to start fresh. So
well, I mean, that's what it is. Every new year, honestly, every new day is your chance to start fresh, but every new year, it's even a bigger opportunity, I think, to really say, okay, we're doing things differently this time. So
yeah, I don't think I'm going to keep track of my movies this year, just because I only did this because I wanted to see how well I did with being the first year of being a parent. So I'm like, I'll try to keep track of something different and just have another task for the full year. And I was like, this was fun to do. I did one a few years ago. I got like the 300 movies, and so I got, so I'm like having a kid and everything, but I'm sure all these TV shows, they kind of add up to at least a movie or two. So
all
right, 10 minutes before I have to go get ready.
Okay.
So
go.
all right.
Bye.
You.